But first, let me stress that I think it's really important to see both networks, so the EGTN and also the EGN. Sometimes people mix us up, but so these are two distinct networks. So the EGTN, of course, you are here today on training, and we have the EGN. We are working together, but we have different angles, I would say, and these different angles can create synergies, and that's what we from the Commission very much support, and we would like to support it even more. And today gives us an opportunity to use these synergies, I think. So here in the EGTN context, you learn about the instruments and you take it with you home, and you will then come to the point to apply it, or you already applied it probably. And then there could be a point where you need support, because it's a cross-border case, and so there could be difficult situations in a cross-border context. Maybe you don't know very well how it works from procedural point of view in the other member state. And then you have the possibility in such a case, when you get stuck with a case, if I may say so, or if you have any questions which you can't resolve otherwise, you can turn to the European Judicial Network and to the contact points which are there. And I will explain you shortly how this works. And Ms. Van Kampenbeek, you are also a contact point. So indeed, you have all the the functions combined, the training side, but also then the application, the concrete application. So we are there when you apply the instruments. And that's important when we speak about building a European judicial culture in a European judicial area. So, first, for your information, for the European Judicial Network in civil and commercial matters, there's a legal basis, which is a council decision from 2001, and which was modified once in 2009. It is a network for the judiciary, but in 2009 the network was broadened up, was opened also to the legal professions, so also to lawyers, notaries, bailiffs. The key element is it's non-bureaucratic. It's a very direct supporting tool. Let's say there's a direct, very direct way of dealing things easily, quick. So that's, I would say, the spirit of the EGN. We try to avoid burdensome procedures. It should be really as direct as possible in order to help you, if you need support, to get the support as quickly as possible. The main objective, of course, is to help you first, but you have the people behind each case. So at the end, it helps the citizens or the companies which are involved in a concrete case. And with this, we think it's also an important supportive element for the citizens in Europe to see that judicial cooperation works in practice. And the Commission is committed to strengthen this tool. This was stated in a strategic planning document, which is the EU Justice Agenda 2020, so the perspective of how we should develop the European judicial area until 2020 and beyond. And developing the network as a tool to implement existing EU legislation is a very important point. And only 1 month ago, the Commission adopted a report, which I recommend you to take a look into the report. So you have the references here, and of course I can provide the presentation to all of you if this would be useful. This report takes a look into the activities of the network, explains what the network is doing, explains the achievements, the deliverables, and also there are 7 key action points for the future development of the network. The network is composed by approximately 500 members, and we have slightly more than 100 contact points in 27 member states. Please note that Denmark is not taking part in the network, but otherwise all member states participate. So what are the activities? First, I told you already, these are the direct contacts between courts, judicial authorities, with their contact points in case they need support, and then the contact point takes up contact with the contact point of the relevant other member state or member states if there are several. So this direct case handling, this is a key element. Otherwise, we have 6 meetings per year. One meeting of the 6 is the so-called annual meeting. There, all the members of the network are invited to participate. And then we have 5 so-called contact point meetings, or some are also mixed with central authorities, because under certain instruments we have central authorities. They are also members of the network. And each of these meetings is dedicated to a particular union instrument. So for instance, because today we speak about the Brussels I recast, we had a meeting last year in October on the Brussels I recast. This is a full-day meeting. It looks like this. The contact points can take with them as experts if they would like to, or they come alone. This is a decision taken at national level. There can be up to 6 persons per member state participating, and there is, let's say, frequently an exchange in advance between the Commission, who organizes the meetings, and the contact points to identify the subject matters which we should discuss. The subject matters, of course, discussed. These are the subject matters very frequently which appear in the practical application of the instruments. Meaning, if some difficulties or some questions arise, these questions are very frequently then brought forward by the EGN contact point at such a meeting and discussed with the other contact points from all the other member states. This is of course extremely enriching, and it helps very much to build a common understanding on certain issues relating to a particular regulation. Let's say in this case, for instance, the Brussels I regulation, how to understand certain things. Of course, it cannot replace the European Court of Justice. It's not the aim. But at least developing a certain common understanding can help very much in efficiently applying these instruments. So the meetings are extremely important. It helps also the Commission to get feedback on how you, all of you, apply the instruments on a daily basis, which issues you face in applying the instruments. This helps the Commission because, of course, the Commission reflects on how to improve the instruments. Brussels I was revised by the Brussels I recast. And of course, the experience made by all of you, by the judiciary, by the practitioners, is a very important factor for the Commission to see what elements should be improved. So that's a very important point. Yes. And then what we also have as a third pillar, I would say, sort of the third pillar, is providing information to the public, to the general public. This is done via the European e-justice portal with fact sheets. Fact sheets explaining the legislation of each member state in particular areas, legal areas. I will come to this in a short moment. It is useful for citizens, but of course we are all citizens, so it can be useful, I think, for you probably as well. In particular, if you have to do with member states legislation for member states with which you don't have so many contacts, maybe, and it's all available in all union languages. So, very short, secretariat, it was already mentioned, the secretariat of the network, in our case, is dealt with by the European Commission. So, in fact, it's me and another person. Yes, so who can request assistance from the contact points? So it's you, the judges, local judicial authorities. You can also request about union instruments, cooperation procedures, etc. If you need help, you can request it from the contact points. You can request also, for instance, information, if needed, on the application of the law of another member state, foreign law. Of course, you should not expect now, as a reply, a PhD thesis. Yeah, this is very straightforward, should be very focused, and the reply then will be also focused and will help you to move forward. And the third, let's say, big element or big part of EGN members is these are the central authorities. They can also, of course, exchange requests in the network. These central authorities are very relevant, in particular in the family area, Brussels 2A regulation, and also maintenance obligations, for instance, but also service of documents, for instance, or taking of evidence. These are also here. We have also central authorities and central bodies. Yes, this explained already. So here, I would like to come to this point because I think it's very relevant from a practical point of view. If you don't know it yet, please take a look into the European e-justice portal. You have there a section for the EGN in civil and commercial matters. You will find it at the entry, at the first page of the portal. And you can then go into the EGN section and find there the information fact sheets on, I think it is now more than 15 legal areas, which can be very relevant from a practical point of view. Again, this is about national law in the member states, and it is translated in all union languages. So I don't know if you can see it. It's a bit small, maybe. Yeah, it's about jurisdiction, applicable law, how to proceed, order for payment procedures, small claims, divorce, procedures for enforcing a judgment, also enforcement, taking of evidence, interim and precautionary measures, procedural time limits. This might be also something very important, I think. Automatic processing, lawful. This is a new item. Lawful removal of the child. Also important. Successions. It was made available last year, and service of documents. So take a look into this. We are currently enlarging also the areas covered here. There will be new areas coming, but it's already quite a good set of information. And for your information, the update of this information, of the fact sheets, is done by each member state at national level. and so it's reliable information. Yeah? So here you see this is the starting page, the entrance page of the European e-justice portal, and there are three areas where you can find the reference to the EGN, and I think it should not be too difficult to find it. What is also important, I would like to mention, is you can also download this from the European e-justice portal. We have developed a whole series of guides, either practitioners' guides or citizens' guides. Most of the guides are practitioners' guides. These are guides which explain particular union instruments. For instance, here on the screen you see the cover page of the guide on the Brussels 2A regulation. We have we have these guides available. There are, I think, more than 10 guides now, and there are guides covering the Brussels 1 regulation. There's one guide. We have one guide with all the instruments explained, and there is also already the Brussels 1 recast there. So I recommend you either to order the guide if you don't have it yet, if you want to have it in paper form, to order it from the EU bookshop. You can order it at the EU bookshop. If you enter into Google EU bookshop, it's very easy to find, and then you search European Judicial Network practitioner guide, then you can find it. Or you download it directly electronically from the European e-justice portal. So here is a list of the most recent guides. We have more than these, but these are the ones which were produced in the last 4-5 years. So these were, here were 7 guides produced. It takes us approximately it takes us a bit more than 1 year to produce a guide, because the guides are produced with the input of the EGN contact points, and they are very much involved and with experts. So these guides are an important source of information. On Brussels 1 recast, we will publish very soon a new guide, which is important for cross-border workers. In fact, it's a guide on employment contracts. This guide will focus on 2 elements, on the Brussels 1 recast, and the Rome 1 regulation, so on applicable law. So these both instruments are analyzed in this guide under the spotlight of an employee working in another member state, so the high mobile or the mobile workers, if you want, we produced this guide. It's now already with the publications office and under production. It will really very soon be available. We produced this guide, in fact, to take a look into the issues which these persons face. Let's say 2 issues: to know which court is competent in a cross-border case for them, and also which law applies. There are quite a lot of questions coming up in this area. If you think about, for instance, the aviation sector with the employees of airlines, etc., or also truck drivers, for instance. We have even court cases at the European Court of Justice in Luxembourg about this issue and whether the Brussels I regulation was correctly applied or not. So this guide should help to also for a common understanding. I told you already. Oh, I'm sorry. It says October 2016. It was October 2015. It was the meeting on the Brussels I recast, and here we took our focus was to compare the Brussels I regulation with the Brussels I recast. On Brussels I recast, the EGN also put in place, I hope, so useful practice tool for courts, which relates to Article 26, paragraph 2. This is this provision stating that if a party appears in it relates to specific subject matters. If the party appears before the court, this means accepting jurisdiction. However, the court is obliged to inform the party about this, that if they appear or if that this means accepting the jurisdiction. And so now there's a model information note which was drafted by the EGN and made available at the European e-Justice portal for you. I will show it to you very quickly if we have a very short moment, because I think that's important that you know that this exists, and you can use, if you want to, this model note in case you have a case applying where you need to apply this provision of Article 26, paragraph 2. But it's not mandatory, of course. This is an option for you to facilitate your life. Okay, so yeah, here you see the reference where you can find again the dedicated EGN page at the European e-Justice portal. And for those of you who use Twitter and who are connected and want to follow a bit our news, we try to put from time to time deliverables and news about the EGN on Twitter. So there we have a hashtag EGN Civil. You are of course invited to comment and to give us your feedback and good ideas, which we always welcome. Yeah, again, I recommend you to take a look into the portal, into the European Judicial Atlas in Civil Matters, and also the homepage of the Commission, DG Justice. So here are the references. I think you will all get this afterwards. So now, the big question, of course, for many judges is, how can I contact the contact point? How to do that? We know that this is an issue. It's not always so easy. And of course, This depends on the structure at member states level and the organization of communication channels at member state level. But we now try to support this also at the European level to help judges identifying the contact details of the national contact points. We are working on a web form which can be filled in by judges. So you have to, in fact, identify yourself with your email, with your official email address, with the email address of the judiciary. And with this, the system will recognize you as being a judge and being authorized to contact the contact point. And you will get then the information, the contact details of your national contact point. So this, we hope that this will really help improving the access to the contact points, because we know that this was an issue until now. And of course you can, if there is something which we can do for you, of course you can also contact us at the Commission. But please turn first to your national level. Yes, thank you. Here you have my contact details. Maybe I will put on the screen, just for your information, the page at the European e-Justice portal on the Brussels I recast, where you can find all practical information, notifications from the member states on court procedures, this note which I told you before on Article 26, paragraph 2, and fact sheets, etc. The forms. We of course there are the forms, the annexes. So that this is very important that we have here the dynamic forms in place. So this is a one-stop shop somehow, where you can really find all useful information about the Brussels I recast. I will turn it on, then you have a bit of time to look at it. Thank you very much.